Om. 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 Sahana vavatu. Sahanau bhunaktu. Sahaviryam karavavahai. तेजस्विनावदीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om peace, peace, peace unto us all.
Sai Ram, and welcome to the Sri Sathya Sai Center of Arcadia, and a very warm and a special welcome to our guest speaker today, Brother Shyam Kanagala from Texas. Sai Ram. As most of you may know, Brother Shyam is the son-in-law of Sri Anil Kumar, who is the Swami's translator for many, many years. And his wife Sarojini spoke with us at the Arcadia Center a few months ago. So, dear brother, thank you so much for being here. And let me read his bio, and then I will hand it over to him. Shyam Kanagala is the second son of Commander Kanagala Satyanarayana and Mrs. Hema Satyanarayana. He is eternally grateful to his parents for having introduced him to the Sai fold at a young age in the year 1974. Shyam has an M.Tech in aeronautics from IIT Madras, an MS in helicopters from NCICA from Toulouse, France, and an MS in computer science from the Texas A&M University. He is currently serving as the president of Region 10. Shyam and his wife Sarojini have been blessed to have many personal interactions with our beloved Swami. Sarojini and Shyam co-authored and published 2 books. The first book, United Souls of America for Sai, and the other book is called Faith, Hope, and Love, a personal journey from the little I to capital I. Dear brother, thank you so much for being here, and I will hand it over to you. We are all anxiously waiting to hear the many, many wonderful stories you have. Sai Ram.
Offering my most humble salutations at the lotus feet of our Divine Master, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Dr. Reddy Garu, Haima Garu, Brother Rohan Balsurya Garu, Brother Venkat Sadanand Garu, Brother Krishna, Sister Sri Devi, Brother Harshad Patel Sir, Nilesh Patel, and many others from the center. I'm sorry, I don't know all of your names, but I was just, in the participant list, I saw a few names that I could recognize. So I just thought it's my pleasure to say Sai Ram to them directly. And I was fortunate that many years ago when I did come to California, Brother Harshad Patel and their family hosted me in their house, Pramila Ben and Nilesh and Nilima. We had a wonderful time there at the retreat. And now it's my good fortune again to come to the center here, remotely, of course, virtually. I thank Swami for this opportunity for this fellowship this evening. Before we proceed, I would like to recall what Bhagavan said on one occasion during one of his discourses. Bhanu tejamu kante bhasillu chundunu భాను తేజము కంటే భాసిల్లుచుండును, మనసు తెలుపు కన్నా మించియుండు. ఆకాశమున కన్నా అతి సూక్ష్మమయుండు, ఆకాశమున కన్నా అతి సూక్ష్మమయుండు, మనసు తెలుపు కన్నా మించియుండు. పరమాత్మ లేనిది పరమాణువును లేదు, అంతట నుండి తాన అంటకుండు. పరమాత్మ లేనిది, పరమాత్మ లేనిది పరమాణువును లేదు, అంతట నుండి తాన అంటకుండు. పరమాత్మ చైతన్యం భవ్య ప్రకాశమై అంతట వెలుగుందు కాంతితోడ. బ్రహ్మలో మీరు, బ్రహ్మలో మీరు, మీలోన బ్రహ్మ ఉండే, బ్రహ్మలో మీరు, మీలోన బ్రహ్మ ఉండే, మీకు బ్రహ్మకు భేదము లేకయుండే, మీకు బ్రహ్మకు భేదము లేకయుండే. ఇంతకన్నను, ఇంతకన్నను వేరెద్ది ఎరుకపరుతు. సాధు సద్గుణ గణ్యుల సభ్యులారా, సాధు సద్గుణ గణ్యుల సభ్యులారా, సాధు సద్గుణ గణ్యుల సభ్యులారా. This verse, for those who may not follow Telugu closely, Bhagavan tells us about his own nature, really, and about us as well. And what does he say? He says that the Lord shines more brilliantly than the sun. In fact, of course, those of us who are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, that the description is that he is more brilliant than suns. And then, of course, to say that he is brilliant beyond measure. He is brilliant beyond measure. And so he is brilliant, more brilliant than the sun. He is whiter than snow. He is subtler than space. And he fills every nook and cranny of this universe, right down to its subatomic space. He is the divine consciousness or Chaitanya that illumines and shines as brilliant light from every cell, every kana of this universe, of this creation. And he says, finally, the crowning piece of this, what Swami declared, Brahmalo miru milona Brahma unde. Brahma is in you and you are in Brahma. మీ బ్రహ్మకు భేదము లేకయుండే. There is no difference between you and Brahma. Higher than this, what greater truth can I let you know? O noble ones assembled here. That's what Bhagavan says. This is the Bhagavan who came to us, who took form. He took birth, so to speak, just like anybody else, in a manner of speaking, taking the human form back on 23rd November 1926. And of course, he lived, he shone brilliantly on this planet. And then, of course, we know that on 24th April 2011, he withdrew his physical form. But what he's telling us is our essential nature is divine. Our own essential nature is divine. How much more divine must be his own nature? Do you think that he is born? Do you think that he leaves the body? Today, 21st of April, we are very close to the Aradhana Day, 24th April. And it's an opportunity for us, and at least for me, I would say, some facets of this beautiful Lord. Once Swami told one great sannyasi or sage who had come to him, he was a pretty elderly man. And Swami asked him about some inquiring of the course of the question. on a very of the, Swami first execution. He said, Swami, I was supposed to have Lord Ganesha's darshan, but as you know, I was just a 7-year-old boy, so most likely my mind must have wandered here and there, and I could not have, been doing it with focus. So probably I didn't deserve that, and so I didn't get it. Then Swami says, no, not at all. The scriptures will never go wrong. You are promised the darshan of Lord Ganesha. Have it now. And with that, Swami reveals himself as Lord Ganesha and gives his darshan to this old man who was much older than him in age. Swami was probably in the 20s or 30s, and this man was much older. And this man goes into an ecstasy, into a trance. And later on, afterwards, when he comes out of it eventually, he asks Swami, Swami, but how do you know about all of this? He was so blessed. And then Swami says, because this happened long before you were born, Swami, you were not even born. Then Swami says, am I born? Do I die? Such is our good fortune. So Swami tells him, am I born? Do I die? And this is the crux of Swami, essentially. He's this eternal one who very graciously came for our sake. And we all know, of course, the four, the reasons that Swami wrote in the letter to his brother and so on. But the beauty of this is we all have got to be very, very, consider ourselves very fortunate that we are contemporaries of the avatar of the age. Probably we were there during Rama's time, Lord Rama's time, Lord Krishna's time, Lord Jesus' time, probably before that Buddha's time, or Shirdi Baba's time. But we don't remember any of those. But we are present here today, and we can recall that, yes, we were blessed to see the Lord. As we near this Aradhana day, one can only think and remember this Lord in gratitude. And on the 24th of April 2011, when Swami left, that coincided with actually the Easter Sunday. There was something between Lord Jesus and our Swami, that Swami chose the day of ascension of the Lord on that day. And in the Bible, we know Lord Jesus tells his disciples two most important commandments. He says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, and all thy strength. That was the first commandment. And the second one, he said, love thy neighbor as thyself. And he said, these are the two most important commandments. I was just reflecting on those. And then here we come across the Lord's Prayer as given by our Swami. In that beautifully, Swami says, and he has written, O Lord, Swami himself has written this. So it says, O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for thee. O Lord, take my mind, take my soul and let it be merged in one with thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with thee. O Lord, take my everything and make me an instrument to work for thee. If you look at it, in Jesus' prayer over 10,000 years ago, he said we must worship the Lord with all our heart. Heart is the seat of love. Swami is saying, O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to thee. And the next he says, and all thy soul. And Swami says, O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with thee. And then Jesus says, and all thy mind. And Swami says, O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with thee. And finally he says, with all your strength. when we use our love, when we use our hands, when we use our soul, when we use our mind and thoughts and everything. And in the last line says, "Oh Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work." That everything is all the strength that we have. I was quite surprised or pleasantly happy to see the recurrence between a statement made 2000 years ago by Jesus and that which shown again in the modern Lord's Prayer in this form. But where do we start? How can we get there? It's one thing to say you will love the Lord with all your love and it should flow to Him. But where will we start? We have to understand again, at least I'm talking to myself actually, because all of you already know these things. I'm just trying to recollect some of these things for my own edification. Swami tells us often, he says that you are God, but you don't know it. And about himself, he says, I am God and I know it. So then the question may arise, how come if I am God, I'm not operating at that level? Or at least that's not my experience. It's one thing to say that I am God, it's another to really experience it. So Swami, where is the disconnect happening? So Swami is saying, actually, it's very simple. You are actually Satchidananda. But the problem is, and he gives the analogy of a chariot, horse-drawn chariot. He compares the senses to the horses, the mind to the reins, and the intellect to the charioteer, and the Atma or the self to the passenger in this chariot. And of course, the chariot itself is our body. He says, your senses are moving along the pathways of the sense objects, and they are dragging the mind along. Why is the mind going with them? Because the mind is not listening to the intellect. And why is the intellect not able to control the mind? Because the intellect is not in tune with the self. The light of the self actually shines on the intellect, Swami is telling us, and the light from the intellect, it shines on the mind, from the mind to the senses. So the problem is, in this, the senses have gone rogue. And why have they gone rogue? Because mostly they are chasing after sense pleasures. Because intuitively, inherently, since we are Satchidananda, we want to always enjoy. We want to have unlimited, unbridled enjoyment. As Ramana Maharshi says, why does a person drink so much? Because he wants to experience his unlimited state. Why does he want to eat more? If you find some very wonderful dish there, they want to eat much more than their stomach can accept. Why? Because inherently, man wants, our nature is unlimitedness. Swami tells us that we are this infinite, indivisible Parabrahman. So inherently, somewhere deep down within us, that seems to have its say, and we want to enjoy this. But the only thing is, we don't know how. And we are allowing that, we are not able to connect to that deep personal self in the right manner. We are going through the senses and we are getting led by them into disaster. So Swami tells us, and that first learn to channel your senses. And so since they are outward drawn, mankind is doing whatever it does, and we know all of that. We don't have to go there. But Swami then has given us these opportunities for doing service, for singing his glorious name. And thereby these senses of our eyes, our ears, our mouth, our hands, and everything, all the five senses of action and those of perception, they are put to good use. So the first step is to reform the senses. And Swami, out of his compassion, what he has done is, he has actually started a whole program for this whole thing, which we all know. I'm just recalling for my own benefit and just, sharing in the joy of that. The whole SSC program. From a little child, he wants these children so that they don't have to unlearn, unlike adults who come later to the path, they have to unlearn certain things before they can learn certain things that Swami has come to teach. Whereas these children are clean slates, and so Swami wants them, he gives them all of this in a beautiful way in this SSC program. And then for mind to be under control, he gives us the beautiful name of the Lord. Swami said, do not underestimate this name. This Nama is a Nava. It's a boat that will ferry you across this ocean of samsara. Do not think it's such a small thing. That small thing, for example, when we take the word Rama, the name Rama, just with that small two-syllable Ra-Ma name, Hanuman became the great devotee that he is. He continuously chants Ramanama, unceasingly. Even Akhand Bhajan, the purpose of Akhand Bhajan is so that in the process of 24 hours, during that time, somewhere with intensity, with purity, with focus, we may be able to say at least once Swami's name with full concentration, even though our mind may be going here and there at other times. And more importantly, so that we get into the habit, so that as the name goes Akhanda, we can later on continuously chant that name. And one more thing is that this name is so powerful that even, like I said, Lord Hanuman, and he has reached such a proficiency in chanting of the name of the Lord that he became the main instrument of the Lord. And we all know that. We are not going to elaborate that, but we know how he helped in the finding of Mother Sita and how he helped in defeating the demons and all of that story. We know that. And with such dedication and surrender, he did that today Swami has given him the pride of place in the Hillview Stadium, on top, above even the gods, above even the very gods whom he may have worshipped. What does that mean? And why did Swami put that up there is what I reflect on myself. I think it is for myself to know that the path is through complete surrender to the Master, as Hanuman did, to always participate in his work enthusiastically and with total surrender, no ego. He was so egoless that he was willing to do any task that the Lord gives. And here, if I may be indulged, if you will kindly indulge me, I'll just recall one story of Lord Hanuman, which touches my heart very dearly. At the end of the whole thing, when Mother Sita comes back to Ayodhya and all the brothers are there and everybody is very happy, everybody starts distributing the roles among themselves, how they will serve Lord Rama and Mother Sita, because they were all away from them for so long. And only Brother Lakshmana was with them and all that. So they all give themselves all the tasks. And then Brother Hanuman, he has not been given any task. So he is asking, what can I do for you, Lord? Then they say, no, they look at the long list and say, everything is taken. Sorry, Hanuman, we can't give you any work. And then he feels very sorry. And then he says, no, please go through that list once more. There may be something which you may have missed. After all, Rama is emperor. So many things need to be done for him. So then they go through that. Then they notice one thing, that there's no person who will snap his fingers when the Lord yawns. So when Hanuman says, oh, there's nobody with that task, please give me that task. Then they say, okay, you take that. So then he says, then all the time he's hanging around where Rama is. Then they ask, why are you hanging around near Rama? Because only when he yawns, you have to do this. Then he says, but I do not know when he will yawn. So I must be there anytime. So in that way, Lord Rama, without directly intervening in this, he arranged for his devotee to be always by his side. Sometimes in the world, even though we want to do Swami's work, some people may cast aspersions on that. They may want to do it some other way. But then, if our intent is pure, if we have no agenda other than serving the Lord, if we are so full of the Lord so that there's no place for ourselves, then the Lord will be pleased to find a way around this thing, just as he did for Lord Hanuman. And then, so that way Hanuman was with Lord Rama all the time. And then it is said now that because of this great devotion that he is and great stature of his, that he will be the Brahma of the next Manvantara, as they say, for the next round of creation, he will be the Brahma. Just imagine all of this with just the two-syllable name, Rama. So small, but when we're done with love, knowing fully the majesty and might of the name, as Swami says, it has got the Ra from the Narayana mantra and the Ma from the Namah Shivaya, the Panchakshari and the Ashtakshari. So with that, it has got the power of both. And it has got this it has three aspects, one of the Surya, the fire, and the Chandrama. And with all of these, it purifies. And Hanuman reached that stage. Even Ratnakara became Valmiki. He was so bad, he didn't know how to say Rama. So the sage Narada told him, at least say Mara, 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 Mara. Mara, Mara became Rama. Why I'm saying at the some length is, Swami is telling us, you don't have to do. Once he told me, Swami said, Bhakti Yoga, easy path in Kali Yuga. Bhakti Yoga, easy path. He said, you don't have to do any gymnastics of yoga. You don't have to do any contortions or anything crazy. All you do is remember the Lord all the time. With love. With love. That's the underlying thing. With love and with faith. And Swami has said that there is nothing which you cannot achieve by that. And proof, as we saw, was that. Now, Swami was very gracious as to take all of us into his fold. And each one of us has their own personal experiences of how they first came to Swami, how that faith was engendered in Swami, and how he developed that, and eventually where they are today in that journey with respect to Swami and their final goal. I was very fortunate to come to Swami at a young age. And in my very first darshan of Swami, when he came to Chennai, I saw him in the public gathering there, and he was about 5 rows ahead of, away from me. And when he came there, he looked in our direction, and for a moment, I felt that he was looking at me. Of course, every devotee in the audience feels like that. That's the beauty of the Lord's gaze. So even I felt on that one occasion that Swami is looking at me. And when I looked at him and our eyes met, I knew that I was looking into the eyes of God. And I knew that this is not the first time we are meeting. Though in physical form, that was the first time I was meeting him or seeing him. And I just knew that our connection is not from now, it's from long ago. Many things Swami has taught all of us. And Swami has taught me as well a few things. And first thing he taught me was how one must bend the body in seva. He wanted us to only do service. He said, you are all young people, go and do service. So we would do, whether it was in the slums near Sundaram, or whether it was in a medical clinic, or whether it was any other public event, we would do that. We would have our sadhana camps. Many great stalwarts were our role models. And that is the beauty. What we found in the Sai path is that all our elders, they exemplified the values that they asked us to follow. They led by example. I'm talking of Major Rayaningar Garu. Some of you may or may not know him, but I feel I want to just share his name because he was such a wonderful person. SP Achyutanandam Garu was the state president back then. And then there was TG Krishnamurti Garu, who is very much here still. SP Mahadevan Garu. Like there's many noble souls. And also, we are blessed to interact with other noble souls like Sister, Madam Leela Mudaliar Garu, whose father established the temple in Gindi in Madras, Chennai. Why I'm mentioning a few of these names, if you don't know them, please go look them up. The Shirdi Sai Baba temple in Gindi in Chennai was established by her father. And that's a long story of how Swami cured her father of madness. I won't go there in the interest of time. But basically, if you notice in all of these stories or in all of the messages of Swami, they're just fundamentally two aspects. One is love, the other is service. He wants us to love, 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 even if it hurts. And he wants us to serve, serve, serve until we can serve no more. Of course, easily said than done. And I pray to Swami to give us that energy, that strength, that guidance to navigate us in this path. And along with all of this, along with the external service and love and everything, Swami also places great emphasis on the inner journey. And he wants us to progress in that inner journey as well. Our personal sadhana is very important. Swami often said that, he said, start your day with your personal sadhana, whatever it may be. Remember the Lord. If you are used to meditating, meditate. If you want to do ceremonial worship, do that. There's no problem. Whatever connects you with the Lord, whatever you are used to. And he taught us to do those things. And when we do this inner sadhana, Swami will gift us with two gems. One is Viveka, the other is Vairagya. Viveka and Vairagya are the two gems by which Bhagavan helps us to navigate this world. Viveka is when we know the truth and we stick to the truth. And Vairagya is we keep that which is untrue away from us. One is we should know the truth and we should also hold on to that. And in order to do that, life will throw many things at us. We must have the Vairagya to keep the untruth away from us. Swami has given us so many thousands of discourses, so many Sathya Sai Speaks volumes are there, Vahini series are there, videos are there, books written by him are there, books on him are there, the Satyam Shivam Sundaram, so many things are there. Along with that, what Swami does is, he orchestrates our life experiences. He's the great time. He's the master. He says, Antaratma kanna adhyapakudu ledu. Araya kalame meeku paramagurudu. Grandharajam bedi ప్రత్యక్షలోకమే ఎవరు స్నేహితుండు ఈశ్వరుండే ఎవరు స్నేహితుండు ఎవరు స్నేహితుండు ఈశ్వరుండే. He starts off saying the inner self is the true teacher. So many books, so many things are there, so many things are happening to us all the time, but we have to connect with that. We have to sift through that. So who is that? Your inner teacher. As Swami also reminds us, Marmam erigina maranimshamlone manase varki guru randi. When you know the secret, the very next moment, your mind itself is your guru. First, the guru is external, then he becomes internal. He actually was always internal, but we were not able to see him, so we saw him only externally. He came externally for us. And then on 24th April 2011, that external guru said, now I have taught you enough. Now see me inside yourself. I am your inner guru. Of course. And then he said, but who is the one that will teach you all of these things? Time alone is the best guru in that sense. With time, you come across so many experiences. You go through so many ups and downs. There is no substitute for time. That is the best guru. And what is the book? The scripture. Which scripture should you read? This world itself, this creation itself, nature itself is the best book. And who is this friend? Only God is your true friend. Nobody else can be relied upon. Not that they mean ill of you or anything like that. After all, they are human. They have only this much they can do. And at the crucial time, they may not be there. So even if they want to do something, they may not be there for you. For instance, as parents love their children very much. But when the child is in the school writing their examination paper, no parent can help, how much ever they love the child. In that moment, the child is alone with his or her question paper and answers. Only then God is the only help from within. So that's why Swami says, rely on that God who is within you, who is guiding you, guarding you, protecting you. నీ ఇంట వెంట జంట కంట ఉంటూనే ఉన్నాను. That is the assurance given by Swami. On this occasion, as we approach the Aradhana day, let us rejoice that we have been contemporaries of the Lord. And let us yearn to take his message into our lives, which you all have done. I'm just again speaking to Shyam and anybody like Shyam out there. And before I close, I would just like to share a couple of incidents that Swami I saw in Swami perform, and that tells you the qualities that he also taught in those subtle moments. It was not a big discourse. It was not a big statement of intent or anything like that, but in the subtle gestures that you see. Once there was a Sevadal group that had come to Puttaparthi from one North Indian state, and they had finished their turn of duties, and they were going to head back to their hometown. And before that, in those days, Swami very graciously would give them Pada Namaskaram. So they would all be seated, and Swami will walk in their midst as they would be seated facing each other and in those lines, and Swami will walk in between them. As he was walking, he was collecting letters and, giving Vibhuti packets or whatever it was, collecting letters actually. And then suddenly he stopped in front of one boy. He turned his hand and materialized a ring for him. And he gave it in his hand. And this boy was overwhelmed and with joy and gratitude to Swami. And the others also were so, wonderstruck by the beautiful gesture of Swami there and the overpouring of Swami's love and compassion. And this boy, he bent down to touch Swami's feet. Already Swami was on the move. He got up to thank Swami, but Swami was already 5 people down the row. Swami did not even stop to hear a thank you from him. Swami he was just doing his duty. He was just doing his duty. And talking of that, a few times when I thanked Swami for his timely help, once actually I had asked Swami, I feel that I'm kind of lost in this world. That was my inner feeling. I didn't say so much outside. But my inner feeling was I'm kind of lost. My senses are taking me some direction. Mind is going some other direction. I really don't know. This chariot of this body seems to be headed for a disastrous accident somewhere. I was just an accident waiting to happen. I just knew that, and I was apprehensive of that. So I pleaded to Swami. Swami, he had come to Sundaram at that time, and I pleaded to him, Swami, please save me, Swami. Swami said, how can I save you? And he went away to give darshan to the devotees, and he was gone. In the next 1.5 hours or 2 hours, that gap, I cried my eyeballs off. I did not know that I had that many tears. I think my tear glands must have run out of tears. I cried that much. My eyes must have been also swollen by the time he came back. When he came back, because I was thinking, when God himself tells you that he cannot save you, what hope do you have in life? And when he came back, I kind of again asked him, Swami, please save me, Swami. And this time he very graciously stopped, looked at me, and said, that is my duty. And then I felt so relieved. I was saying Sairam, Sairam to Swami himself. And then I understood that later on, as I grew a little bit more mature in the path, I realized that this Swami has come. He took his avatarhood, his descent was for our ascent. Literally, he came to save us, and he took that upon himself as his duty. For each one of us who came in his ambit, who came to know of him, who heard of him, who touched him, who was there in the presence, or who did not hear him, but who read about him, or whatever it is, in whichever way he touched our life, he came just to save us because he took upon himself that as his duty. And for those who may feel that Swami has, feel forsaken because now Swami is not in the physical form, I humbly submit, he can never forsake us, because to begin with, he came for our sake. He came for our sake. The one who came for our sake, will he ever forsake us? He himself has said that you may be in a village, you may be on a mountain top, you may be in a city, you may be in the middle of the ocean, you may be in the air flying, but the Sai will never let go of your hand. He has given that assurance. This is the Sai who is your eternal companion, who is always with you, in you, around you, above you, below you, beside you. When he said, why fear when I am here? If you see the physical body, it is somewhere in India, even when he was in the physical form. But when he says, why fear when I am here? Does it mean because he's here in Puttaparthi and you are there somewhere in the US or Germany or wherever else? No, because he is the I am in each one of us. Once a devotee asked Swami, she had written a letter to Swami, and Swami immediately told every content of the letter, even before she gave the letter to him. Then she asked Swami, do you enter my mind, and how do you read my mind that you know everything that's written in this letter? Then Swami said, no, I am. He was referring to the olden days typewriters, in which where you have those keystrokes, it will go, and you have the paper with the carbon and all that. He gave that analogy, and he said, even when you're pressing the key to hit the particular alphabet K or whatever it is, I already know, because I am there in your mind. I am in you. So it's not as if I enter your mind and then read, oh, what's going on there? Nothing. I'm already there with you. I'm in you. I'm around you. He has assured us. He has proven so many times after that. And I had shared also once with Dr. Reddy Garu and a few others that in 2015, when my wife Sarojini and I wrote the book, and with Swami's grace, and we were going to get it published, and it was coming to Swami's birthday. It was a day or two before Swami's birthday in 2015. It was all pretty much closed, and we were all done. The editor had gone through everything, and all it has to do is be, it's finalized almost. And then Swami came in my dream, and he was coming in the student was pushing him in a wheelchair, and I was standing at one side. And as Swami was coming down, he was distributing some book. He was distributing copies of a book to so many people seated around him. And then I happened to lean and see what the book is, and I saw it was actually our book. So I thought, oh, that's wonderful. That means Swami has accepted that. I was very, very happy. And then when he comes very close to me, just as he's passing by, he very quietly asked me in Telugu, he said, Rasindanta Patistunava. All that you have written, are you practicing? He asked. Very silently, so that only I could hear. And then he goes on and he continues to give the book. Now, the moment he says, are you practicing all that you have written? Clearly, there is some gap there. And he wants me to reflect on it. So we reflected on it. We went back into the book. We edited it again. And so you'll find phrases, if you have happened to read it, it says, we are works in progress, and things like that. And that happened only after Swami actually came in the dream in 2015 and said, hey, you know what, you've written this book, it's all wonderful, but maybe there's a little gap in the practice, you need to close that, but until such time, it's good to put a small disclaimer. So that is what we did. So he has not gone anywhere. He is watching over us, every thought, every word, every deed, every intent, and not only the content of what we do, but the intent behind it. He's there every moment. How fortunate we are. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll stop here with offering my humble salutations at the lotus feet of Bhagavan. And thank you all once again for this wonderful opportunity to relive and to share about Swami. Sai Ram.